Subscribe to Intoxicated 3PO. Is that what they wanted? Yeah? Are we good? Did we do it?
Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to several of these interviews that I'll be having on my channel. I know you guys are all here to see someone pretty amazing, someone that I've been following for before I even had a channel. The Critical Drinker is here, yes, on the live stream. How are you doing, my friend? Thank you so much for being here.
No problem at all. Us drunk guys have got to stick together, man, so it's a pleasure to be here.
Everyone's like, you guys got to talk about alcohol and have a drinking contest. The only problem is it's a Thursday. If it was a Saturday, maybe. Have you ever had a drinking contest with an American?
I have done, but I made the mistake. I was kind of pissed before I even started the contest with him. So, yeah, it probably wasn't a fair one. I think we ended up pretty much even Stevens, though, but I don't remember too much about it.
Are you a beer drinker?
Oh, yeah, like it's not a bad way to start off the evening. Like you generally want to start on the beer and then you progress to the heavier stuff the further on you go. By the time you get to the end of the night, that's when you start doing tequila slammers and stuff. It's a gradual slide, you know. Beer's a good way to get going.
Beer mixed with liquor gets you drunk quicker.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have any like really bad beer that's like really cheap?
So like over here we've got like Tennant's Lager, which is just like the devil's piss. That stuff is nasty. There's various beers in Scotland that are kind of on the cheap side. We specialize in cheap booze actually. That, you know, it'll get you drunk, but you might lose your eyesight at the same time. We've got this stuff over here, right? And I don't think there's an American equivalent, but it's called Buckfast. I don't know if you've ever heard a Scottish guy talk about it.
I have never heard.
It's like a fortified wine. So it's like, it looks like red wine, but it's like sweeter. And so it's easy for like teenagers to drink. It's about the same percentage as wine. So you can just neck it like it's Coke. And yeah, like you'll see bottles of that stuff strewn everywhere on like a Sunday morning. We call it Bucky.
What's the drinking age over there?
18. That's the legal age. You're probably going to be starting when you're like 14 or 15. I know I did. It's 21 there, isn't it? That's when
21, yeah.
Man, that's crazy. It's like you can be driving a car before you're allowed to have a beer.
Each state is a little different, but 15 and 8 months you can start driving a car in my state. Malt liquor. Do you guys have malt liquor?
Like malt and whiskey.
That stuff just kills you, man. I mean, that's just there's no other reason to drink that.
Well, that's happens to be my drink of choice. So like,
oh, see, the whiskey is one thing, but the malt liquor is like a beer.
Yeah, I don't think we really do malt liquor over here.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's pretty bad.
The stuff that I hate, and it's one of the few drinks that I won't have, is Sambuca. Because stuff, it tastes like licorice. It tastes like aniseed, and I hate it. There's something about the flavor. It just like brings up the contents in my stomach. And it's always one of your buddies that goes and gets a round of it in, like round a shot of Sambuca. Right at the end of the night, you know, when you're like at that point where it's like, I'm kind of struggling to tune into people's conversations here, and I think I'm swaying on my feet, but I'm good. Just probably shouldn't have any more right now. And then it's like, hey guys, round of Sambucas, let's do it. And it's like, well, you've got no choice but to go in, but it's like, I know I'm going to be making a one-way trip to the bathroom right now, so.
We have Fireball. A lot of people love Fireball. Do you have Fireball? Have you had Fireball?
No, I don't think I've had that.
Fireball is like candy. People drink it because it's extremely sweet. Problem with Fireball, you drink it, it tastes like you're drinking candy. And then when you stand up, you're like it kicks you right in the face, man. Also, you've been to the States.
Oh yeah, many times. I've been to Orlando quite a few times, you know, done the parks, and been to Universal and all the Disney ones, all the rest of it. A few years ago, I went out to Cape Canaveral and I saw like a space shuttle launch. That was like one of the last ones that they actually did, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, man, to see that. So
it is. It's awesome. When the beer bug hit where I live, people were complaining that there was no toilet paper to be found, but the biggest thing was liquor.
We had that.
Liquor was gone. You couldn't even find wine in a box. Like, really? That's how bad. The ABC liquor stores had signs on them saying sold out. There's nothing left. I mean, even the stuff that you would like look at and go, this is absolutely disgusting. People were buying like crazy. How was it across the pond there?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have that problem for whatever reason. There was always plenty of booze on the shelves. We had the toilet paper issue for sure. Situation was getting pretty desperate at one point, but we got through it. But yeah, there was always booze on the shelves, so that was fine. I was happy.
Please forgive me. This young YouTuber from Geeks and Gamers.
Who is this upstart named D-Day Cobra?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to embarrass you, Critical Drinker, but it comes with the price of fame that you have. So could you say hello to Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, please?
Hello, Jeremy. It's the Drinker coming to you with another live stream.
Thank you so much for doing that. I don't really like to ask, but it's the cross that we bear as celebrities. That's all I'm saying.
I miss Jeremy on Twitter, actually. I know he's kind of off that now, but it was always good to see him roasting people, you know. So he really seemed to enjoy himself with it, so it was always fun to watch.
You don't really get into too many Twitter scuffles there, but you
Not
do
really,
have hot takes on people. You know what happens when you have a little hot take on somebody? They kind of look at you and go, "Yeah, I'm not gonna respond to him because he's got such a large following."
Yeah, this is the problem, I guess, because, you know, if I see something that pisses me off or whatever, or when I want to talk about it, you know, I'll retweet it and I'll talk about it, and then, you know, next time I look back, they've like deleted their tweet and have privated their account, and I'm like, oh fuck, you know, like now people have got no idea what the hell I'm talking about. So I really should have mastered the art of screenshotting rather than quoting people. But yeah, like generally I don't get into big debates with folk on Twitter because it's just, for me, it's not really a worthwhile use of my time. You know, I could get drawn into debates that would last for hours, and it's like, well, I'm not going to achieve much from this. I'm not going to change a person's mind or anything. You know, there's probably people out there totally hating on me, but I'm just not even aware of it because I miss it. Like, it's, you know, I don't see it in my mentions or whatever, so I'm like, whatever.
You know, if you see something you don't like, you kind of make a hot take, and if they start responding with some weird stuff, then what we do is we could put all that information into a video on YouTube and, you know, make money from our abuse on Twitter. Like right now, I've like Gina Carano is really getting it on Twitter.
Yeah.
From everybody, and it's making great content for people like us.
I mean, you know, respect to her, man. She's taking a stand on things that she believes in, and God, there's not many celebrities that can do that. And what's cool is like the people that are harassing her, like you just know she could absolutely beat the shit out of them if she wanted to. That's great.
So going into your YouTube channel, it seems like you have been on YouTube for a good while, correct?
Yeah, I mean, like I guess I just started that account that I use like way back in like 2006 or something, but I didn't make any videos for it. It was just an account so that I could like things or favorite stuff or whatever. I didn't actually make my first video until like, I don't know, 2011, something like that. And then it was just something I was messing around with. Like I just was playing around with editing and I wanted to see how you put videos together and, you know, all that kind of thing. It didn't really go anywhere. And then, you know, I got into writing novels and all that sort of stuff. So YouTube just kind of fell by the wayside for a good many years. And it wasn't until, probably last year, I think, that I started getting back into it. And yeah, I got an interest in making videos again, and especially with all the crap that was happening with Star Wars and all that, I just felt compelled to like vent my irritation about it, and it started to take off. It started to get more interest, and then I think I was talking about Captain Marvel, and I started doing myself as the drinker, and all of a sudden, like within a few days, I had like 1 million views and 10,000 subscribers. It was the most insane sort of experience to go from like having a few hundred subs to like, you know, 10,000 in a matter of days, and that was really the start of it for me, and it's done pretty well since then, I guess.
So it was Captain Marvel.
It was a sort of sarcastic video I made about Captain Marvel, talking about how there's been a lot of like other good female characters before this, but everyone's acting like, you know, Captain Marvel is the first, and it was done in kind of a sarcastic way. So I'd be saying like, you know, oh, look at the kind of terrible movies I had to put up with when I was a child, and then showing like Aliens and Sarah Connor from Terminator 2, that sort of thing, like all these kind of awesome female characters from when I was a kid, but like it was just a contrast to what I was actually saying, and then people seemed to really get a kick out of that, and that's what kind of launched the channel, I guess.
So technically it's only been about 1.5 years since you really exploded onto the YouTube scene.
Yeah, about 1.5 years.
Now, one of the videos that I first found, it's an older one, but it's just pure awesomeness, so you might have to talk me through it. There's a video on your channel, I think it's like 6 or 7 years old. Basically, it's a video of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone carrying big guns.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like 80 something, and you were just destroying. It's just, they're just shooting people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I've got the Beethoven Ode to Joy music playing over it.
That's right. That's right.
It was just a little tribute to how like all these awesome action films that were so over the top, and the joy of just seeing stuff explode. It's great. And it was just pure, like, I don't know why I did it even, but it was just, again, one of the first videos I did, me just messing around with editing videos for the first time and seeing what I could come up with. And that's what I came with.
It's still epic. When you need to feel like a man, that's the video you play. For some reason, I didn't even know you were kind of connected to that video. I had that video on, like, it's one of my liked videos on my other YouTube channel just because it's just awesome.
Damn,
so,
that's a proper obscure old one of mine.
Yeah, I know. It's just awesome because they don't make movies like that anymore.
No, they really don't. I was talking with Az about this the other day when we were going over Commando, actually, on a live stream from Heel versus Babyface, sorry. And just talking about how movies like that were fun. Like, they were kind of ridiculous and over the top, and like they were really violent, and there was random nudity, and it was great. It's what action movies should be, you know, and you don't get films like that anymore. You miss it. You really do.
I have always told people, when people would say, what kind of movies do you like? I said, I used to love the films where it was one guy or girl that just killed everybody. That's it. Simple. Yeah, like Commando. And the closest one we got to it recently was the latest Rambo film where he just, he sets up traps and just kills everybody.
Pretty much, yeah. I reviewed Dread recently, and I was like, that's along the same lines as those classic old action movies where you've got a pretty simple premise. It's like him stuck in a building with a bunch of people that want to kill him, and he's got to fight his way out. And that's pretty much all you need. And it's just a bunch of set pieces, really well done, great action, great main character. Cool. That's a movie that's kind of on par with these older action films.
I mean, that was the blueprint in the 80s and the early 90s. It was just like, let's hire one dude, one female. Like, even in Aliens, it's like, we're going to get one girl, it's just everyone's going to die but her. Almost every time you saw an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, until he got into like his comedy and stuff, it basically was, all right, you're going to be in a movie and here's a gun and you're going to kill everybody. That's the movie.
Yeah. You're dealing with a guy who isn't an actor and can't really act and isn't great with English, but obviously looks amazing and can hold a gun and can walk about shooting it. And okay, that's kind of all you need. Just work with that. That's kind of why they ended up the way they did. And I always felt like Stallone was kind of trying to copy him. He's like, He looks good without a shirt on. I got to do that too.
Exactly. And then Steven Seagal kind of showed up. He was in that one person kill them all. He didn't have the body, but he tried to let me throw the martial arts thing in there until he hit too many
martial arts was
buffets.
pretty popular back in the 80s, wasn't it? Like that was one of the cool things that was just starting to come out, was like these martial arts movies. He could sort of do it. Like, he always looked like he didn't give a shit as he was doing it, and he was kind of bored, but like he could do it a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, he's had one too many buffets recently. That's what made that era so amazing. And I think that actually helped Arnold a little bit when he crossed over into some of the other films, because people already had an expectation of a guy. So it's like Kindergarten Cop. So you've already seen Arnold kill, tens of thousands of people by himself with one bullet in all these amazing films. And now you're going to throw him in with kindergarten students. So it's just like, there you go.
Arnold is probably a lot smarter than people gave him credit for. And he was very aware of his own limitations as an actor. And he was aware of that, and he was happy to poke fun at himself. And so, like, a lot of his action movies, they were serious films for the most part, but they had a kind of wink, tongue-in-cheek element to them, where he's like, yeah, I know this is kind of stupid, but like, we're just having fun. And so I think it wasn't too much of a stretch then for him to go into comedy, because he kind of had a flair for that sense of the ludicrous, and he could play up to it. And that's why, movies like Kindergarten Cop, like,
right,
he's able to play that monotone kind of serious guy, like deadpan, and it's funny because of that. So I think he was smarter than people give him credit for, I think.
I completely agree. So I have a request, my friend. People want to hear the story of your worst hangover.
Damn.
Do you have a worst hangover?
I do. I think I've told this story before, actually. So
this will be me hearing it for the first time.
So for anyone who has heard it, I apologize. This is going to bore you for the next couple of minutes, but here we go. So it was like one of my friends was getting married. So we went to Tenerife for a stag weekend. Like, you'd call it a bachelor's party or something. Like, you go away for a weekend, you do lots of drinking, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were there, and we were staying in this like all-inclusive hotel. So it's like an open bar, like awesome. So we went there, tanned that, absolutely abused it, and then went out on town, took in a few strip clubs, a few other bars, all that good, wholesome family stuff, and eventually got home, back to the hotel at God knows what time. Like, I couldn't barely see. I tried to brush my teeth with cortisone cream because it looked like Colgate, and then eventually passed out. Anyway, so woke up the next day, like most of the other guys, and I was in a bad way, man. Like, you know, that way where you can't even look at food. And, you know, one of the guys, I think it was the best man, he's like, look, we're right next to like the biggest water park in the islands, like just opposite our hotel. We should all go there this morning, and that'll kind of help to wake us up. And I was like, oh, you son of a bitch. Like, the last thing I want to do is go down giant water slides and stuff when I can barely walk. So anyway, we went over there, and I was looking around like, man, what can I go on that will waste some time and it's not going to be too extreme? So I just looked at the lazy river thing, you know, where you sit in like a rubber ring and just float down a river.
Yes. And
I was like, that'll do. Like, it looks nice and gentle. So I went and sat on that, and off I went. And I'm going along, and I'm bobbing up and down and up and down. And I was just like, oh man, this wasn't a good idea at all. And I started to get that feeling in my stomach when your contents of your stomach are about to make a sudden reappearance. And I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna hurl here. So I was like, I can't do it in the river because it'll like ruin it. So I threw myself out this rubber ring and clambered up onto the side just as it was going through like a tunnel thing, and just hurled up everywhere, like properly blue chunks all over the wall and onto the ground and stuff. And I was just there, like heaving, and unbeknownst to me, other guys were floating by behind me, and I just hear this kid going, Dad, why is that guy crying?
Oh my God.
And I hear this guy saying to him, don't look at him, son, don't look at him. And I just hear the dude muttering to himself like, oh, for fuck's sake.
There it is.
As I'm struggling to breathe.
It never fails, right? You can't throw up in peace.
Yeah, that was one of my worst experiences. I felt rough for the rest of the day that day, like, man.